the recording.
I just didn't want to ask you that because it's, I didn't want to. It was enough, you know.
It would be tragic. And it is tragic. For all those people who think that that is what the whole world is all about.
Yeah, but you know, I'm asking from inside the English. He doesn't. In was not, was not for none. I mean, it had a value even then. I mean, not comparable.
Not true.
Not true.
Not true. Beis. Beis Rashis.
Bishvil Torah.
Akiva, that's 40, no?
It's 60.
Okay. Yeah, you're correct.
Yeah.
Is that prophetic?
Ready?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. All right. Akiva has requested that we go back a few lines. Once we should start from the line that begins with Etzem Muslim, 5 Muslim. 5 lines from the top of page of this.
With the introduction of the meaning of the Imkain.
Okay. What we said was that the oineg that is contained in every koyach is not an independent oineg. It is a oineg that is drawn, it's mispashid from the etzem hanefesh, from the oineg shebenefesh. As we have explained in many, many different masharim, which we are not going to repeat now unless it's absolutely necessary. But essentially, in one word, if a person has oineg, if there's an oineg in any koyach, in any particular activity, it is intrinsically united and dependent on the fact that he has oineg in living altogether. If he doesn't have oineg in living, then he cannot have oineg from any particular activity. It's the same oineg that's drawn from the essence all the way to the specific. Taking this a step further, we're saying, however, this oineg that will be etzem, this overall reality of oineg, this is on such an essential level where a particular activity plays no role. It's totally devoid of any particular activity, like we pointed out. Rahman, if a person is, God forbid, missing a limb, he can still live and enjoy life. To the fullest. It's a tragic thing. It's very painful. But He's alive. And experiencing life. That means that this source of Oinig is infinitely superior. Superior not only in terms of a greater. It cannot even relate. It's not. These details are not defined within it. They're not dependent. It's not dependent on these details. It can relate to them. It is what's called the poshut. It is poshut l'gabe hakoyches. This is the introduction to the V'im Kain. V'im Kain, and thus it follows, so to speak, a logical progression. Ma shebo mislavish behakoyches. The fact that it comes as oinek comes, and it's mislavish, and it imbued in the koyches specifically. Harei zeh hagbola. That constitutes a hagbola. You take something which is of a infinite quality, and you are defining it on a finite level. That's a hagbola. You're affecting hagbola onto it. The fact that it's mislabish in the koyches. Ubifrat. And then particularly, this is taking this even a step further in a certain sense. B'hatainuk proti b'chol dover shemisamek bei. In the specific tainug, in everything that he is misamek. What this means is, we have, like we said, there is a koyach hatnua in the hand. I'm taking to hatnua because it's something which we can all relate. We don't have to imagine what the koyach hatnua is. Koyach haseichel, perhaps we have to imagine what's koyach haseichel. But koyach hatnua, we don't have to imagine. We are observing it all the time. So there is a koyach hatnua, and there is a particular moving of the hand. I'm picking up this cup and I'm moving it from here to here. In order to be able to do that, in order to have that koyach, there has to be an element of oineg in that movement. Like we said, a human being is not a robot for an instant. Not even an instant. Everything is a living involvement. So when you go into that minute detail, b'chol dover shemisamek bei, harei hu bo behagbolo lefi erech hadover hahu. There, this oinek shebenefesh is redefined, and it is drawn in such a limit that the limit should be able to relate to that particular thing. At this moment, he is actually relating to moving this cup, and he has oinek for moving the cup. Not the fact that he is able to move his hand, some kind of a more all-encompassing or more significant level. In that there is oinek, and the oinek is mislabish, and it's mugbal in according to this. Shekol zeh, this whole phenomenon, ein b'yerech hatainuk b'yetzem klal. Ein be'erech means it cannot be correlated to the Tanik Be'erech, to the Tanik Be'etzem. How does the Tanik Be'etzem relate to this oinek? Can it be said, in other words, that, oh, I'm enjoying life? You know why? Because I'm able to move the cup. And yet it is synonymous. It is really that same oinet. That's where it's all coming from. Thus, it is imperative to say, that the fact that the tainug is drawn into the koichos, hu alidei memutza. It comes through a stage that's called a memutza, an intermediary. How do we define this intermediary? Now, the mamutza, that we should now, so to speak, conceptualize a mamutza between the tainug that is shaloi b'yerech altogether from all the koiches, especially shaloi b'yerech to the koiches in general, and then we have to go down to the most minute level. Can we relate to it? And then there is a mamutza. This mamutza, if the mamutza is limited to the particular koyach, then we remain in the question, how does the tainug relate to the mamutza? What is the solution? How is the mamutza a solution to the problem? It has to be that the mamutza is at the level that the tainug b'etzem is able to relate to it. And the mamutza is able to relate to the tainug b'etzem. Is able to relate to it, and yet it is able to also to relate to further down to the koiches. This is what constitutes a mamutza, what enables him to be a mamutza. What is this mamutza? The mamutza is hakoilel kulam. The mamutza is that level, hakoilel kulam, that incorporates all of them, all of the koiches. This is a phenomenal thought. The Mutza HaKoil Kul. Like we said, it's unconscionable to say that a person lives in order to be able to move the cup. But it is not out of whack to say that life means everything. All activity. Everything. Life itself is really superior to all activity. But if you say in terms of everything, there is a proximity there. There is a correlation.
There's a correlation between activity and etzem.
And the etzem, right. The possibility of activity. Not even everything means the possibility of activity. This is the transitional stage I see that we have a difficulty. So we'll take the analogy of the home. The analogy of the home is simply giving a person a place. And when he has the place, and he enters the place, instantaneously, because this is a place, this is a mokum, right? Like we said the other day, yesterday, that sight, chokhmah, is unique in that at a glance, it's true, it's only one glance, in one instant, everything is included. It's not an instant where you see infinity, which is an undefined infinity. No, in this instant you see everything that is contained within that infinity. The similar union is in the essential sense of the home. You're not defining where the table is going to stand, where the chair is going to stand. This accommodates all human needs. Although, as we pointed out, the home is not for accommodation. The home is for providing a place. But it provides a place for all human needs. So that now a human being can act at all levels and remain a human being. Remain a self-respecting human being. This is a transitional moment from the essential to the functional. We have to now again focus on the concept of the essential. Where do we get the essential from? The essential remains in the hand of the giver, of the Creator. It is the Creator's presence. He gives the essential. If a human being were to identify all of his activities and all of his accomplishments, it will never constitute the essential. As we pointed out, he can accomplish everything without sensing that he needs a place that belongs to him. He doesn't need it. He can do everything, and by convention, by recognition, he will be praised and say, look what this man did, look what this man did. Everywhere. And he's still not a full human being. And this is the principle of the Mamutza HaKoil Kulo. Shaboy, we're in that Mamutza. Misla besh ha-tainug bichlal. The tainug imbues bichlal. At the level of klal. On the general level. What does these three words say? The word mislabesh means imbues itself. We have pointed out in the past. What is the concept of a ha'ora? A ha'ora means something that can bring its effect at an arena, at a level that is not essentially it. Like we say, the sun, the ha'ora of the sun makes it possible for us to see across the street. That's not what sunlight is. But the ha'ora, functionally, that's what it is. Hislapshus means that. It's mislabish, which means it has the effect of oinek. So this mamutza is that which provides for the tainuk to be mislabish. For a tainuk to be mislabish in a particular koich is impossible. But if you say mislabish bichlal, that it can relate to. Bichlal means whatever I want I can do. There is a bit of correlationship there between the etzem ha'tainuk and the tainuk and the hislapshus. Why is there the correlationship? Okay, please follow this. Because if you say whatever I want I can do, where does that come from? How can there be such a thing? Whatever you want, you can do. Because there is an element of essence. Without the element of essence, you cannot have such thing. Whatever I want, you can do. You can do a lot, but whatever is impossible. This is why we pointed out many times that Chassidus, when he gives a moshel, a relationship, a moshel lemelech. It's a moshel for a melech. What's a moshel? A moshel for a melech. Why not a melech? Why not any individual person who has a son who is very dear to him, or an individual person who builds a home? What's a moshel lemelech? He wants a bias. He builds a house according to his own. Why moshel lemelech? What about the person, Howard Hughes, is extremely wealthy, so he can do anything he wants. And the explanation is not true. He can do anything he wants because his want is limited. As a matter of fact, he doesn't have too much of a want. But anything is only by the melech. This way, functionally speaking, the only place we have a real moshel is from the melech.
The Mamutza here is that on one side it's a limitless desire, which connects back to the etzem ha'tainuk, that there's no gather on it, but it's a limitless desire to actively participate, to do something, and therefore it's got both ends of the...
This is what makes it a mamutza. This is what makes it a mamutza. Sheboy mislabesh ha'tainuk bichlal. Bichlal means in general, at the general level. At the general level means there is no limit, all-inclusive manner. V'aliyodoi, and via that moment, via that process, via that station, bo b'chol ha'koiches b'prat. The Tainagan comes in all the koiches on a specific level. Now you can relate to the koiches. Now you can relate to this particular activity, because every particular activity is a sample of all activity. And thus there is a kind of a relationship. Vehu, and this memutza is represented is in the koyach hachochma shebenefesh. This is the koyach hachochma shebenefesh. Ukiyodua, as it's known, shehachochma koilel. I know it's at koilel, koilelis, not. Kol hakoiches. The chochma is chochma. It's specifically chochma. It's a koyach hachochma. But what kind of koyach is chochma? It is not definitive koyach. It's a koyach that is koyel kol hakoyches. And as we demonstrate, koyach hachochma, koyel kol hakoyches. This is similar to what we say is in sight. We have identified in sight many different levels. But there is the initial sight. Before one begins to identify east, west, north, and south, up and down, all of these east, west, north, and south, up and down, are really one entity from the initial sight. But it's not one entity. It's one entity that includes all of them. This is the experience of sight. It is an instant, which means it is the reality itself. You can't see an expanse of hundreds of miles and surmise it in an instant. You can't do that. What kind of experience is this? The essential element that provides for everything. But it provides for everything in terms of actual provision. In this expanse, in this panorama that I'm observing, there is room for houses and streets, and for rivers, and for lakes, and for airplanes flying, everything. Everything is provided for. This is the Choch. ידוע שהחוכמה כולל כל הכויכס. שהרי this principle that we say is known, that the Chochma includes all the koiches. Sheharei, okay, Sheharei means since that, or behold. In other words, this is going to be, so to speak, a supporting a proof, a supporting argument, a supporting point for this statement that the Chochma is kol hakoiches. But on the other hand, it would seem only almost a redundancy. Sheharei, since that, kol hakoiches klulim tchila b'moyach sheberosh bichlal. All the koiches are first included in the moyach sheberosh bichlal, in general in the moyach, b'koyach hachochma bifrat. And within the moyach itself, there is a koyach hachochma. In the moyach itself, the unique place where all the koiches are klulim is in the koyach hachochma. So how is this shaharei? What is this help us to understand the principle that the chochma koil kol hakoiches? the way it helps us to relate to this principle is because this begins from bottom up, not top down from the Chochmah. The Chochmah includes all the koiches. We have hardly a means to grasp that, to relate to that. But if you start bottom up, Kol ha-koiches klulim tchila me'ech shebarosh. All the koiches are earlier included in me'ech shebarosh. That we can relate to, that we can sense. Like we always demonstrate with the fact that a child, it takes so much time for a child to be able to relate to standing up, to walking. Because before he can take a step, he first has to be able to relate to it. In his mayach. He cannot do an action that he can relate to. Relate means that he surmised it before he did it. He's not really losing it, going out of himself. He's doing this. It's not his feet that are moving. His head is moving through the feet.
It's the mind of
So when we start, that's with the shaharei. Every koyach has to be first called b'me'ach shebarosh. That we can readily see. Therefore, in a converse view, the me'ach shebarosh includes everything. וכמי שכוסף בספר שומבני in פרק נ"א וכמי שכוסף במקים אחר. As this is in Tanya in פרק נ"א, and as also described a greater detail elsewhere. All right, this will be it for this morning. Okay, have a good day. We are going to prepare for davening now. Cool.